So hopefully it'll pick up on camera, but the suspension definitely seems worn out after, what are we on, 28 years? I think it's all stock, so we're going to replace the shocks and struts on the 95 GT. And yes, we still have the Shelby for 8 more days, but it's wet out, so can't really take it out and enjoy it too much today, so we'll work on the old one. Wait for a nice warm day, dry day to take out the Shelby. So we're back in the garage. So to access the top part of the shocks for the rear, you'll take this piece out. You'll leave this piece just folded over. It'll expose your spare tire area, and then this whole trim, I guess, piece, there's going to be 2 of these clips, and you'll have one stud right here, and you just unthread this plastic piece off of. You'll have another one. It's sticking down right up in there. You just take these 2 out, put it off to the side, and then you can get this pretty loose, and then go up in there, and then you'll see, wait, just a little bit, you have your nut there, and then there's 2 flats on this piece here. So I think you have to hold the 2 flats with an adjustable, and then that's sweet. You can hold that to keep this from spinning, and then loosen the nut to get the shock, and then get this nut off. Then you can drop the whole shock assembly down through the body, and then out from underneath the car. Okay, so here's the wheels off, obviously, and here's the old quad shock. And as you can see, like I said in my unboxing video, I didn't get any new hardware, so I'm trying to figure out if this nut, it looks like they may have welded it to the bracket, and you just take off the bolt, but definitely rusted up after 28 years. The nuts on this is a whole bracket piece here. You just take the nut off, and the shock is able to slide off the stud here. So if I can just take the nut off, and the stud is, if the threads are okay, then I can just reuse it. If not, then I may have to order, because I think you can order these brackets, set of 2, 1 for either side, if you need a whole new bracket. Because I think some people run into an issue where if this back here is, rusted, rotted out, then they either have to cut this area out, weld in a new piece, and then I guess drill and tap holes for a new bracket. But thankfully mine is still okay. The car really doesn't have a whole lot of rust on it. I mean, you can see like this area here, there's some surface rust, but it seems like they used good steel back in 95, because it's just not completely rotted through. The only real rust the car has is where was it? It was way in the back. Let me try to find it. Oh yeah. So here's the exhaust hanger, and then right here there's some pieces that'll chip off just right in that back corner here. Other than that, not really a whole lot on this car. So for a 95, I will absolutely take that. And looking at the other side, I actually have taken these 2 bolts loose before, so I could drop this out of the way. I was like feeding in the over the axle exhaust pipe for the pipe bomb catback exhaust. I had to drop this whole thing out of the way, because the way you have to angle the over the axle pipe in, I needed this area right here, so that's why I've already unbolted these 2 bolts. But today we're just taking off this bolt here, or this nut, so I'm curious to see if that'll come off with any sort of ease. And then again, this doesn't look in the best shape, so I may have to track down some hardware for that, because like I said, didn't seem to get any hardware for the quad shocks. And looking for the rear shock, this is actually looking not too bad. I'm surprised, just some surface rust, so might actually be able to reuse the nut and bolt here. Actually, if it's the same size instead of using the new one for here, if it's the same size for this one, that would be huge. Then I could just use the new bolt. But if that nut right there is in fact welded, you know, we got the, I guess, the little dust shield for the brake rod is kind of in the way. I could almost get in there with a tap and run a tap through this nut, clean up the threads. But we'll get everything apart and check it out. Okay, so it's a 18 millimeter for the nut on the I guess the higher end of the quad shock. And wouldn't you know, it actually broke loose on the first try. Wow, surprised by that. I think the stud actually spun a little bit when I first hit it, but then it broke loose. Threads actually still look okay, and I think, yep, you have a flat here, and then we're free to take that off. Now for the other side, the bolt head is a 15 millimeter, but the over the axle pipe is in the way, or basically that whole area is too tight to get the impact. So I may try, I could try double wrenching it. I could get a 15 millimeter, and since I have to go lefty-loosey like this, I could kick the wrench out this way, and another wrench, and pull it up, see if I can break that loose. Sprayed some penetrating oil in all the areas I'm going to be trying to loosen, so let's give it a shot. Well, as luck would have it, I remembered I had a short, they're almost mids, half-inch drive impact sockets, and as luck would have it, I could barely get the impact on it because the head of the impact is right up against the spring, and I can't believe it, but it actually broke it loose. And what did you know? So the nut, I can verify, is welded, or at least hasn't dropped down. Here's the bolts. Threads actually look fairly decent for the age, and the threads that were inside the housing of the shock were protected all those years from rust. Wow, just wow. I'll take that. I'll count that as a win. You know, on a Friday here in March, it's like 55, 60 degrees, weather's perfect, garage door open. Threads don't look too bad in there, but if I could bring it, I have all my taps are at the shop though, my toolbox at work, so that's looks to be, that's not too much of a gap, maybe 2 inches, 2.5 at most, so my taps are at least 3 inches long. But I don't know, maybe I could go from the other side, who knows? That should just be a through hole. So actually probably could go from the other side. Okay, so I think I just need a pry bar, put it in here and pop this side out. So let me grab one of those. And luckily, let's see if my shorter pry bars, again, at the shop. This one may be a little long. Always a tight spot. Oh, you know, we can get a little angle on it. So let's see. And just like that. Who said working on older cars was a pain in the butt? And then you have the flat wash on either side for the rearmost part of the quad shock. And the front side you don't have a flat washer because it does sit in this bracket here. So just wipe off a little area right there, any rust, and maybe take a little brush or something. And all right, I'll take it. And this stuff, wow, I'm surprised it's in this condition. So yeah, like I said, you do have a stud sticking out off of this bracket piece. Just make sure on your car, on your Fox body or your 94, 95, that's not completely, you know, rusted out, about to just fall off from the body here, and you should be good to go. So I might take the hardware to my shop, clean it up on the wire wheel. But as far as getting stuff apart, that's I'm very happy with that. So the other side though, the exhaust is closer. So I'm gonna try it for this 15mm bolt head, but I may not have the clearance on this side. So the exhaust is flexible to an extent, but I don't really want to risk that because you know, if you're at too much of an angle, you'll strip it. So I'll grab the wobbler, the wobbler extension, and see where's that at right here. So I'll pop that off the 3-inch extension. See if you lose some torque, but apparently don't actually need all the torque in the world. I thought I was gonna have to go out and bite the bullet by the 1/2-inch drive high torque Milwaukee impact brushless, of course. But this mid torque one is still doing the job. I've had it for about 4 years now. Okay, wish me luck. Get the wobble on it, trying to get as straight of a hit on it, but are you serious? Hang on, did the battery pop out? Oh yeah, sometimes the battery will actually pop out on me, so. Or maybe not. Well, I got it mostly out. Impact. Not currently. What is going on? Let me see. Did I run out of battery? Huh. I had 3 bars when I started, but I guess I ran out of battery. Oh well. Well, let's see if I can spin it up by hand. Of course not. But I do have the 15mm wrench on the bench. I'll always have an alternate way to get something loose, get something apart. Look at that, doing it live, doing it while the camera's rolling. Okay, there's the other bolt. Still, wow, still looking fairly good. And over to the pry bar. Sometimes, I don't want to jinx it, but sometimes working on cars goes smoothly. Other times, not so much. So get in here. Make sure you don't hit the body or anything. Just pry up. Mostly out, but not quite. Come on. Oh, okay, it is. All right. Perfect. And yep, the washer's still stuck on that side, so we'll pop that off. And we'll get the rear shocks out first, and then put the new ones in, and then put the new quad shock in, just so we have plenty of room to work with. Well, that's that. I seriously can't believe how easy this is going so far, but I don't want to jinx it, but this is nice. It's just nice when you get a win like that. So you know how when you watch like on the TV shows or on the YouTube series, when a shop like is rebuilding an old car, like or even in a how-to on late model restoration or American Muscle, like everything's just coming apart with absolute ease. I can't make this up. Like on this car, it's actually happening. You know, I had to left hand on the ratchet in the 18mm socket on the nut, and then the right hand on the impact with the wobbler and the mid/short 15mm socket for the bolt head. That's why I couldn't hold the camera and film it, but it loosened up so easily, and yeah, I just seems too good to be true. But we'll get the other side loose and keep on rolling. Okay, so now for the top part of the rear shock. So I already got my 15mm set up on the hex or the nut there, but for that very top piece, I'll point my finger at it. Yeah, that very top piece there, it's got two flats. It's like a 1/4 inch thick. So what I'm gonna do is take, I had this special, I guess it's a Craftsman, yeah, it's Craftsman. It's an adjustable, but it has a locking mechanism with a spring in here, just like a vice grip would, and so I can lock it in place. So I'll do that, because normally we use an adjustable wrench. This part here wants to kind of move around. Even this one does a little bit. It wants to move around and open up on you, so I don't want to round off those two flats in there. So I'll use this and get as tight of a lock on this vice grip adjustable kind of hybrid tool, so I can hold the two flats, or I can hold the flat part, so that way the threads don't spin as you're trying to loosen the nut with the 15mm wrench. So I'll try that and see how that goes. Okay, so that absolutely worked. Very nice. And here's your top piece with the piece of rubber. Make sure it goes back the same way. And it popped right out. Let me get the lights so I didn't put the flash on. Pop right out. You do have a rubber piece there. We'll inspect the new stuff, see if they got new rubber for me. And then you just pull this right out. You can take the rear shock right out. Let's put you on the kickstand here. Let's see. Yep, bolt is coming. Well, it's a tight fit, which is good. That's what you want for your suspension. All right. And just like that, it's out. 28 years old, we'll go into new stuff. And again, you're in a bracket, so you don't have two flats on either side, but you do have like a metal sleeve in there for the bolt to ride within. Okay, and the bolt still doesn't look too bad, so we get the new hardware, but we have options. We can use this better condition bolts, because I think it's literally the same as the bolt that holds the quad shock on, that's closer to the front of the car. This is ideal. Again, I can't speak enough about how lucky I'm getting, but this worked out pretty well. And oh, here's the with the adjustable / vice grip thing. I grabbed onto the flat is at the very top. There's not much to grab onto. Make sure you're on the flat, not the round part, because I grabbed on the round part first and it just started spinning. Once I grabbed on the flat, real tight, good grab, didn't spin, and was able to loosen that 15mm nut with the ratcheting wrench. And we'll get the other side out, then we'll start putting the new stuff in. Okay, so for this one, I just took the trim piece out completely because I couldn't really lift it up like on the driver's side to access the nut and the flat part. So in order to take this out, I actually took out this whole piece. It was for these little tabs, and get yourself one of these little tab pullers. It's so clutch. I can't believe I held off on buying one for years. And it just grabs both sides of the tab, and these plastic things usually break, but thankfully mine did not. And then also there's this piece that way back here, I think it literally forward
or whoever put this in, they just kind of stuffed it in there. And I don't know if it, actually probably not that side, but it literally just kind of was just kind of shoved in there like that. I don't know, honestly, it wasn't really doing anything, but it was basically just kind of like that. So whatever, that's that. And then I didn't even have to hold the flat this time. I actually have just been going at it with the ratcheting wrench, and I'll show you this on camera. Just be careful, it'll pop a little bit on you. So just be warned that it'll do that. Shouldn't be too big of a deal. Just under, you know, it's a shock, so it's under a little bit of pressure. Almost the last couple threads before the nut comes off. So yeah, it just pops off, and this piece just flies off a little bit. But basically on the shock, there's a rubber piece that sits in this hole here, and then this goes over top, and you have the rubber there, so you have that isolation, so you don't have a metal on metal. That'll be making lots of noise, and you know, two metals wearing against each other would obviously not be good. So if you do hear any noises with your shocks, you know, chances could be that the rubber's just worn out so much that now there's metal on metal contact. But so yeah, this piece pops off, and just like with the driver's side, we can come down here, and there's the rest of it. So if you can by hand, yep, pull it down, and then you can swing it out here. And you should be able to. I'll probably have to get a hammer. That feels a little tight there. The bolt, just tap the bolt out. So let's grab. We actually have not used the hammer yet. How surprising. Talking to myself. Making a video. And then we'll get the wrench and just twist it out the rest of the way. Okay, so got it out. Just had to use a little persuasion. Had the ratchet, the ratchet with the socket, and the hammer, and got that bolt out. Oh, by the way, if you hear any yelling in the background, my neighbor's on the phone in the woods nearby, having a very heated discussion, so hopefully he can get that resolved, and both parties can be good. So just a fair warning for you. So yeah, this rubber, you can see it's worn right here, and it's got a groove in it, so that's where it sits. Or where I think it sits in this in the hole right here, because as you see, this rubber piece is tapered, and once it gets too thick, then it takes up that space in that hole, and then it stops, and you know it's seated. And actually, it does have a shoulder here, so you got rubber on both sides of that metal hole, so that's what you want. Again, if the rubber's completely shot, metal on metal, and not good. Okay, so this has been your video on taking apart the rear shocks and the quad shocks on your 95 Mustang GT. And I will end it here, get stuff cleaned up, and I will be back with an install video of the new parts. Look out for that on my channel. Thanks for watching. Hit a subscribe if you can, and I'll see you in the next one.